They thought throwing you to the wolves would tear you apart. Did they not know who you are? Did they really believe the wild would break you? Little did they know, wolves are where you belong, and now you lead the pack. The wilderness didn't devour you. It sharpened your instincts, honed your vision. They pushed you into the wilderness, not out of hatred, but with cold certainty that you would fall. They saw you as brittle, easily crushed under the weight of their disapproval. You were cast aside, like a scrap of paper crumpled and tossed into a storm, as if your fragility would splinter you before the winds had even risen. They never saw what lay beneath the surface, underestimating you, mistaking your silence for surrender. What they didn't realize is that the wilderness does not devour those who belong to it. The wild isn't a place you fear, it's the place where the edges of your instincts sharpen, where the fire in your veins rises to meet the cold. They never knew that by throwing you to the wolves, they were sending you to your kin. You were not an outsider cast into oblivion, but a leader disguised as prey. The wilderness whispered to you in ways they could never understand. In their arrogance, they imagined that isolation would break you. They never anticipated that it was in the deepest, darkest stretches of abandonment that your strength would stir awake, like a beast rousing from slumber. Left for dead, you learned to not just survive, but to thrive, to track the unseen paths that only sharpen your focus. The wolves they sent to destroy you became your shadows, following your lead. The wilderness, that unforgiving expanse of desolation, fed your fire. The predators, the cold winds, the harshness, they did not defeat you. They honed you. Every cut made you sharper, every wound a reminder of what they had misjudged. They thought they were casting you into the abyss, where you would be swallowed whole. But instead, the abyss became your fortress. The bones of your past weaknesses, the echoes of their scorn, built the very foundation from which you would rise. They assumed you would break under the pressure, crumble under the weight of rejection, but they didn't realize that the wilderness breeds a different kind of power. It's not the shallow authority of those who cling to comfort, but the raw, untamed force of one who has tasted the depth of the void and clawed their way out. They saw you as weak because you were quiet, but they never understood that silence is where you learn to listen to the earth, where you feel the pulse of the storm before it arrives. And now, the storm is yours to command. You were underestimated because they saw only what they expected to see. They didn't see the hunger in your eyes, the flame that flickered beneath your stillness. But now that flame has become a wildfire, spreading far beyond their control. In their attempt to bury you, they planted the seeds of your resurgence. You were never prey, never helpless. You were only waiting. And now they will see that casting you into the wilderness was not their victory. It was the moment you became something they could never touch, something they will never comprehend. In the end, they were right about one thing. You are no longer the same. You have become more, forged in the fires they tried to extinguish. The wolves run with you now, not because you bent to their will, but because you have become the force they follow. The wilderness was not your downfall. It became your crucible. Stripped of comfort and certainty, thrown into chaos, you were expected to falter, to be consumed by the very forces that swirled around you. But the wild, unforgiving as it was, taught you something they never understood. It taught you to see with clarity, to move with purpose. The obstacles weren't threats. They were sharpening stones, honing every edge of your being. Each struggle was a flame, burning away the excess, leaving only the core of who you truly are, resilient, unbreakable, unyielding. When they cast you out, they believed you were fragile, unprepared for what lay beyond. But you were not abandoned to weakness. The wilderness revealed that you didn't need the softness they clung to, didn't need the false safety of their approval. Your survival instincts took over, and what they had deemed chaos became your structure. You learned to read the hidden signs in the world, to interpret the silence not as a void, but as a language they had never bothered to learn. They had no concept of the depths within you, assuming your quietness was submission when it was calculation. Every step you took through the wilderness wasn't just survival, it was transformation. While they saw you as prey, you were quietly evolving. The wolves, sent to tear you apart, did not devour you. They recognized something in you that those who sent them had overlooked. Your instincts, once dormant, now mirrored their own. You learned to stalk the unseen, to anticipate every threat, to move not with hesitation, but with the precision of someone who has become one with the wild. You were never alone in the wilderness. You were simply being shaped by it. The predators they sent became your companions, not because you were weak, but because you became something they could follow. You didn't return as a survivor, you came back as a leader. Those who had assumed you would crumble now stand bewildered by the power you exude, by the undeniable presence you've cultivated. The irony they will never grasp is that in trying to destroy you, they created their own undoing. They thought they were pushing you down, but all they did was remove the chains they had placed around you. The wilderness didn't break you. It released you from the limitations they had tried to impose. Now, you stand not as a victim of their cruelty, but as the one who commands what they feared most. In their ignorance, they believed they could define your limits, that casting you into the unknown would erase you from their world. But the unknown is where you thrived. Their rejection became the soil in which your strength grew. You didn't just survive the wilderness, you mastered it. You didn't just escape the wolves, you lead them now. You have become the force they thought would consume you, a power that can't be tamed, an energy they will never control. Inside the Obsidian Inner Order, we show you how to channel that energy, to turn every ounce of rejection, every so-called defeat, into unstoppable strength. They thought they could bury you, but the wild became your kingdom. If you felt that fire, knowing you've mastered what was meant to consume you, then the Obsidian Inner Order is where you belong. The link is in the description. You hold the power now, and it isn't subtle. It pulses through you, undeniable and untamed, as if the very ground shifts beneath your feet when you move. The ones who doubted, who once thought they could control your destiny, now see it clearly. The shift in the tides. Their influence has crumbled to dust, and you stand in the ruins of their underestimation. Not as the broken figure they hoped to mold, but as something they never imagined possible, a force beyond their reach. You are no longer bound by the judgments and dismissals of others. Their words are nothing but whispers, lost in the storm you command. Their fear is tangible because they now recognize that the power they never believed you possessed has bloomed into something terrifyingly real. They regret it, of course. From the shadows where they now watch, they carry the weight of their own mistakes. Every sneer, every dismissive gesture, every attempt to cage you has come back to haunt them. They can feel it, the cold, sharp sting of knowing they were wrong about you. They see it in your stride, in the way you no longer hesitate or wait for permission. The regret they harbor now is a silent prison, but they are too late. The opportunity to stand with you, to share in the strength they once overlooked, has passed. They underestimated the quiet fire inside you, mistook your calm for weakness, and now they are left as nothing more than spectators to your rise. When you returned, it wasn't as the same person they cast aside. The fire they thought would consume you, instead, forged you. What once could have been seen as a vulnerability has become a weapon, honed by every struggle, every doubt, every attempt to break you. The cracks they inflicted have long since healed, but not with fragility. The scars have become armor, an impenetrable shell they can no longer touch. You are not merely stronger, you are untouchable. The pain they caused, the betrayal they thought would destroy you, it has only made you sharper, more resilient, a creature of pure willpower. They gaze upon you now and know there is no going back. You walk with authority, not because you seek power, but because power has become part of your essence. It is in the way you move, the way you speak without asking for validation. You have been through the fire, walked through the inferno they ignited, and emerged not merely unscathed, but transformed. They don't recognize you because you are no longer recognizable to those who only saw your potential as something to be controlled. Now, they see the truth. You are unstoppable, unbreakable, a force that no longer fits within the confines of their limited understanding. What they hoped to break has become something far beyond their reach. You have claimed your crown not because it was given to you, but because you took it, forged from the very flames they set to consume you. Now you stand at the center of your own story, no longer needing approval or permission. The wolves they sent to tear you apart are the ones following your lead, and you wear your power as naturally as the air you breathe. The past no longer defines you. It only testifies to the unstoppable force you've become. They see you now, the ones who once turned their backs, the ones who cast you out when you were at your most vulnerable. They see the brilliance that radiates from you, and they hunger for it. They smell success on you like wolves, scenting prey from a distance. The glow they once dismissed as faint and irrelevant has now become blinding, and they're scrambling to claw their way back to you, hoping to feast on the fruits of your labor. The irony is, these are the same people who threw you into the wild, the same ones who believed you would never rise. Now they wish to be welcomed back into the warmth of the fire they had once doused with indifference and scorn. But you are no longer the same person. You don't exist to serve their whims. You've learned that not all who knock at your door deserve entry, no matter how familiar their faces. As the leader of the pack, the one who has carved out a new world from the bones of what they tried to destroy, you must guard what you've built. The pack follows your instincts now, and you know that those who seek to return are not here to contribute. They are here to take. They are drawn to the light you cast, but their intentions remain as dark as when they first abandoned you. They believe proximity to you now will absolve them of their past doubts, their betrayal. They're mistaken. Your territory is sacred, hard-won through struggle and resilience. You've transformed every ounce of pain into power, and now that you stand on higher ground, you must be vigilant. Letting them back in means inviting the same toxic energy that once tried to poison your spirit. They have not changed. They are merely opportunists, seduced by the allure of what they cannot possess on their own. They are scavengers, circling the fire they once tried to smother, hoping to warm themselves by the flame they never had the courage to ignite. This time, you are not so easily fooled. You know the signs, the subtle manipulation, the veiled apologies. Their voices may be softer, their smiles warmer, but underneath, it's the same cold calculation. You've learned the hard way that not all apologies come from genuine regret. Some simply arise from seeing your success and wanting to attach themselves to it. Do not reopen the doors that you've bolted shut. Some doors are meant to remain closed, for what lies behind them is only shadows and echoes of betrayal. To allow them back into your space is to invite chaos where peace now reigns. Your progress, your evolution, is a sacred thing. It is not something to be shared with those who had no faith in you when you were down. They have not earned the right to sit at your table, to share in the feast of your victory. Keep your boundaries strong, fortified like the walls of a fortress that no enemy can penetrate. The wolves at the door may howl, may plead, but they no longer have a place in the kingdom you have built. You owe them nothing but the silence they once gave you. Stand firm, protect what you've built. Your rise is yours alone. God's hand guided you into the wilderness. What felt like abandonment was His divine orchestration, setting you on a path only He could see. When the people around you turned their backs, leaving you to face the unknown, it wasn't the cruelty of the world that placed you there. It was God's wisdom. He knew that in isolation, you would find the strength within yourself that you never knew existed. Those who betrayed you were simply tools in His grand design, unwittingly playing their part in your refinement. He allowed them to cast you out because He knew the wolves would not devour you. They would reveal your power. God positioned you where you needed to be, where the noise of the world would fall away and His voice would speak louder than ever before. Nothing in your life has been accidental. Every challenge, every moment of doubt and betrayal was carefully woven into God's plan to shape you into who you are meant to be. He knew that the fires you faced would forge something unbreakable in you. What others intended to destroy you God used to elevate you. Every scar, every hardship was not a punishment, but preparation. The people who thought they were burying you were, in fact, planting the seeds of your strength. You didn't simply endure the trials. They transformed you. You rose from the ashes of their betrayal with a spirit unshakable, your faith unyielding. What they meant for harm, God has turned into your greatest opportunity. He used your wilderness season to align you with a purpose far greater than their understanding. Letting them back in now would not only reopen wounds, but could unravel the spiritual growth God has carefully cultivated within you. They have served their purpose in your life, and God has closed that chapter for a reason. You are no longer in need of the validation they once withheld, no longer seeking approval from those who doubted your worth. Their season in your life has ended, and God's protection surrounds you in this new chapter. To invite them back would be to risk allowing the very forces that once sought to destroy you to disrupt the peace God has established. The wolves may howl at your door, but you no longer need to fear them. God has given you dominion over them, and they no longer have any power in your life. Trust in His timing, His guidance, and the strength He has imparted to you. The wilderness was not meant to break you. It was meant to reveal you. Moving forward, walk with the certainty that every step you take is under His watchful eye. He has already gone before you, preparing the way, ensuring that no weapon formed against you will prosper. There is no need to turn back, no reason to reopen doors that God Himself has closed. Your path is forward, and in His divine alignment there is peace, there is purpose, and there is protection. Keep your eyes fixed on Him, for He has brought you this far, and His plan for you is greater than anything those who betrayed you could ever understand. There is no looking back. The past with its burdens and betrayals no longer holds you. Like Lot's wife, those who turn their gaze backward risk losing everything. But you know better. You've come too far, climbed too high, to be dragged back into what was. The ashes of old trials, the broken pieces of past relationships, they belong to the grave. You don't sift through the ruins of what was, because your future demands your full attention. Every moment spent glancing over your shoulder only delays the inevitable rise that is destined for you. Let the dead things stay buried and walk with your eyes fixed forward, where the sun still rises. You are not the person they once knew. That person has been shed like an old skin, discarded in the wild where you fought to survive. What they remember is gone, replaced by the powerful force standing here now. You've evolved, your spirit hardened by the fire they thought would consume you. What was meant to diminish you only refined your core, stripping away the unnecessary until all that remains is purpose and power. You stand at the head of the pack now, no longer following, no longer waiting. You command the very forces that once sought to break you. Leadership is not something you chase, it's what you embody. Step into it without hesitation, because you were always meant to lead. The wilderness didn't change your destiny, it revealed it. The road ahead isn't just open, it beckons, waiting for the steps of one who is no longer bound by fear. Every obstacle that tried to stop you has only built the path higher, each one a stone in the mountain you now stand upon. You walk forward not just as a survivor, but as a conqueror. Your time in the wilderness wasn't just a test. It was a divine sharpening, preparing you for the battles yet to come. You've gained something immeasurable in that desolation: clarity, strength, resilience. These are the tools of the chosen, the ones called to rise above what others could never endure. Know this: you are unstoppable. You've seen the dark corners of the wilderness, faced the wolves, and come out not merely intact but transformed. Trust in the plan God has laid before you. He didn't lead you through the fire for nothing. Every step, every hardship, was a piece of the intricate design meant to bring you to this moment. You are no longer on defense, no longer shielding yourself from the blows of life. You now stand in the offensive, powerful, anointed, and ready to take what is rightfully yours. Let there be no doubt. Your strength is not temporary, it's eternal, forged by the wilderness, sealed by the blessings that are now unfolding before you. The future is yours. Because you have been chosen to rise where others fall. Move forward with unwavering confidence. The wilderness may have tried to claim you, but it failed. Now it's time for you to claim the victory that has always been yours. The past is dead, and you have been resurrected into the fullness of your power. Keep walking. Your horizon is limitless. You were cast into the wild, tossed into a world that others thought would destroy you. But the wilderness, harsh and unforgiving, only revealed what they couldn't see: the raw strength you carry, the fire that blazes deep within. Every challenge you faced was not a punishment but a test, a crucible that shaped you into the leader you were always meant to be. The wolves they sent to tear you apart now walk at your side, recognizing the power you wield. The wilderness did not break you. It broke away the parts of you that no longer served your purpose. Now, you stand with a strength that cannot be touched, your spirit hardened by the trials that tried to take you down. You have claimed your place, not as a victim, but as a conqueror. The reason is clear. You have always been chosen. The hardships were never designed to defeat you, but to prepare you for what lies ahead. You didn't just survive, you ascended. What was once darkness now illuminates your path, and those who doubted you can only watch as you lead with undeniable authority. The power you possess is not just for you. It's for those who walk this path alongside you, the ones who need to hear your voice, your story. Now is your time to share it. Have you been thrown to the wolves only to come back leading the pack? Your story of resilience is not just yours. It's a beacon for those who need to see that it's possible to rise, to turn pain into power. Share your journey of transformation and growth below. Let's build each other up, creating a community of leaders who have faced the fire and come out unburned. Your testimony is what someone else needs to hear today. You were thrown to the wolves, but they underestimated what you would become. The wilderness refined you, stripping away what no longer mattered. And now you lead with unshakable strength. Never let anyone take that from you. Peace, blessings, and love to all the chosen ones out there. Keep leading the pack, keep rising, and trust the path that has brought you this far. Stay blessed and continue to move with purpose and power.